So Janet just mentioned, you know, having a glass of wine, enjoying it, having it, being aware of what I'm doing, but being aware when you're at the plate or at your plate. So I know I am guilty of the first question I had. Do you tend to eat in a rush state? What % of the time do you eat this way? Yes. Yeah. When I was first called out about that question, I read it and was asked to journal about it for the week, be aware of it, and then just eat one meal a day doing nothing else. Not working, not reading, not watching TV, not driving, not putting my makeup on, not whatever it is. That was an eye-opener for me, for sure, because we are constantly going, we're grabbing and going, and life happens, it's going to happen. But if you are able to be conscious at your plate, your digestion starts visually by looking at the food, by being aware of it. Have you ever sat down on the couch and, like, whether it was healthy or not, ate something, just watched TV, eating something? Oh my gosh. Fun. And you're hungry still. Because your brain and your belly cannot communicate if you're not aware that you're eating. Does that happen to anybody else or just me? Everybody? Okay.
Right here. Are there a lot of digestive enzymes with the chewing? Because I find all fast.
Yes.
That really is the biggest thing for me in digestion is actually
chewing. Yes, chewing, slowing down, putting your fork down, taking your time over a meal. You know, taking a nice long leisurely lunch or dinner, whatever it may be, whenever you can. And there's some more questions on this sheet of, you know, why would you choose to be on autopilot? You know, do you tend to eat due to your emotions? And there was a time when I was snacking a lot after, like, that time between, like, getting home from work and dinner, and it was driving me crazy. And I'm going to put a pin on the whole story in a minute, because we're going to go into how do we change certain habits and how do we become a little more aware of why we do what we do. But I was eating for no reason, like snacking, not even hungry, or after dinner. You know, it's like, why are we doing this? I'm not hungry, that sort of thing. And so the emotion tied into what I was doing, I found out eventually, was boredom. I thought that I was, like, stressed out. But what I found was that it was boredom. So I want to put a pin on that just for a second, because we're going to dig in a little bit more as we've talked. Maybe there's something that's coming up in your mind of something you're like, yeah, I'd really like to stop eating in the car, or I'd really like to stop putting foods on the bad list. Whatever it is, we're going to decide on something that we're going to want to commit to trying to change for the rest of these 3 weeks within the boot camp. But before we move on, I want to just take a second to let everybody kind of tap into your gut wisdom. I want to show you how to do that, because if you're kind of still looking at me like, brain in your belly, gut wisdom, what? How do you do that? That doesn't make sense. So I want to give you a tool or two, so go ahead and put all your stuff on the floor. And you have this on your worksheet for when you'll go home. But one of the main strategies to really ignite this power of our core, you know, without just training it in boot camps, to train it when we're at the table, when we're driving in our car, whatever opportunity we have to tap into ourselves, is to, you could do this at home too, laying down, or, you know, wherever is comfortable for you. But today I just want you to do this seated, and we'll kind of bow our heads, close your eyes. And I just want you to scan your entire body mentally from head to toe, and notice if there's any tension in any of your muscles, maybe in your upper back, shoulders. Now draw your awareness to your belly. Is there any tension there? We tend to suck in our stomachs all day long, and I want you to invite you to just let those muscles go and take a big deep breath into your abdominal region, and just continue to relax the muscles of your abdominal. Sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to let that go if there is tension there. And as you sit, just scanning for now, what emotion are you feeling? Are you comfortable, tired, bored, happy, hungry, interested. And check first if you can pinpoint that emotion. And if not, don't judge that, just notice, just be aware. And then take a moment to consider this question. Does your body send you clear messages about your nutrition? And if it does, how often are you listening? And now with your eyes still closed, place your right hand over your abdominals and your left hand over your heart. We're just going to do a couple rounds of belly breathing. Eyes still remaining closed. I want you to trace your breath as it comes in through your nose. And what I'd like you to do is draw your next inhale all the way down into the bottom of your pelvic floor. So all the way down past your lungs, past your stomach, all the way down to the root of your spine. And as you exhale, let the air come out of your belly, come out of your lungs, and begin same thing again, drawing your inhale all the way down to the root of your spine. You'll feel your right hand expand, followed by the left, and then you'll feel the belly drop and the chest drop. I'm going to do that 3 more times with a count now of inhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch your breath turn around for 4, 3, 2, and 1. 2 more just like that. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last one here, biggest breath you've taken all day. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let your hands just fall into your lap. Your breathing can return to normal, opening your eyes when you're ready. And just take notice of if you are feeling a little more relaxed now. So that is one of the #1 strategies when you're sitting down to eat, whether you are having to go eat on the run or whether you are able to take time at a table. But taking 5 to 10 of those deep breaths to just calm yourself, ask yourself if you're eating in a rushed or hurried state, a stressed out state. I know I still do it. I'm a little bit better now that I've been paying attention, but I used to eat rushed and stressed so much. And if our digestion gets just in knots when we're doing that. If our stomach is in knots when we start to eat, where the food doesn't have its natural process to take and go. So on your worksheets, I think it's on the 2nd page, those 3 prompts are there. Scanning your body, is there tension? Can you put a finger on the emotion you're feeling? And does your body send you clear messages regarding your nutrition? Then engaging your gut wisdom. First one there, breathe deeply into your belly before starting a meal. So turning on those neurons, making sure they're nice and awake. So bringing that breath all the way down into your belly. I know that many of us walk around and we pull everything in and we make sure that we, and in Pilates, Pilates breath, you got to pull the tummy in, you got to make sure it's all tight, and that's great for workouts and you want to do that, but making sure that every now and then you're belly breathing, turn that stuff on. This is kind of a weird connection, but I went to a chiropractor for some pain I was having in my hip, and my chiropractor told me I wasn't breathing right, that I wasn't breathing into my belly enough, and I turned off some of my core stabilizers through doing that. So some of my physical therapy was to breathe into my belly, and it was very eye-opening for me. And I think some of it starts with stress, some of it is just from wearing tight clothes and feeling like you got to look good, but the stress causes you to tense, to be tight, and whether it's being stressed or whether it's, I don't know, even just feeling negative emotions or even happy emotions, but if we're kind of uptight and pulled in all the time, just take some conscious breaths before you eat. See if for at least 1 meal of every day you can sit and just 5 to 10 times, asking your food to nourish you, whatever works for you to begin a meal, but make sure you're doing that belly breathing. Touch, smell, and experience your food. that awareness piece again. Make sure you taste it. Make sure, I mean, even if it's proper etiquette, pick it up. Eat your food with your hands if it makes sense, if you can. Remaining aware while you eat. No social media, no working, no reading, and I'm guilty of that one. But it does make the meal so much better in the long run if you just stop and you eat and you experience that. If you can do it with another person, a friend, a loved one, it's even better. Just that that connection that you have while eating is really special too. Eat to the point of increased energy. I love this one. I used to say, you know, eat till you're 80% full. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't think I can do that. And then I heard this idea of eating till you have increased energy, meaning that you leave that 20% of hunger, you leave that little bit for the next thing that you're about to do. So you go into that meeting, into that workout, into that presentation, like ready to go, rather than like, ugh, I'm so full. And I loved that like description of it because it gives you a way to eat until the food is nourishing you, until it's uplifting you, but not dragging you down. And it's not something where you have to figure out like, okay, where is 80%? When do I have to stop? But instead eat till the point of increased energy. Take the rest into that next thing that you're doing. Bless your food, invite it to nourish you. I mean, that, as Melanie had said, is this going to nourish me? Or even saying to the food, you know, please nourish my body. I mean, something so simple as that, no matter what it is, whether it's, you know, wine or a salad, whatever, but please, you know, come nourish my body, give me what I need. Expect your gut to guide you. So that's one of the strategies for listening to your intuition, is expect to hear from yourself. Expect that you know the answer. Expect that you will hear one side or the other what you should do. And having that expectation, asking yourself questions on a regular basis instead of going always external, is going to help engage your gut wisdom. And then trusting in the messages that you received and then acting upon them. So if we ask our gut to guide us, but we always say, oh no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and then do something opposite, well, our gut's going to stop talking to us eventually. Same is true if it's not talking to us now. Start asking, start listening, acting on those messages that you're getting, and then you'll notice you'll hear more and more from yourself going forward. We talked about this one already, stopping your battle with food, that moral judgment of good and bad. As much as you can, try to just have food as it is. Know what's healthy and not so healthy. Know what makes you feel good, what makes you feel not so good. But the moral judgment, that's a human thing. We do that. The foods don't do that. And so avoiding that moral judgment will make it so that you don't feel bad or guilty when you eat something if you're not calling it bad or on the, you know, the naughty list. Knowing which foods bring you down, knowing what brings you pleasure. And lastly, invite your emotions in. So I mentioned this in the beginning, that we are emotional beings. Experience them, sit with them. And when you come to the plate, asking yourself, am I eating out of emotion right now, or am I eating out of stress or boredom? Acknowledge that and try, when we can, to work through whatever that is before eating the meal, so that we've cleared all that out of the way and we can enter into the meal with, you know, pretty much an empty vessel just waiting to be nourished. Any comments or questions on anything as far as the strategies to ignite your gut wisdom? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll ask a question. I'm not sure if I'm allowed. But
no, of course. Lara, please.
Natalie, you had referenced the book. I think it's Nourishing Wisdom
yes,
by Mark Davis.
It is.
Which is a really great book.
He wrote two. That's one of them.
He wrote, I think, Nourishing Wisdom, and maybe the other one is related. But
yeah.
And Mark talks about, just maybe you can comment on in your own experience, you know, there's farmers markets now, and the importance of like preparing a meal
yeah.
as an important
step.
Function.
Yeah.
You know, you grocery shop, you prepare the meal, you kind of get in a connection with the food.
Yes.
And just your experience in that, I know you did quite a bit of food prep when, you know, in your various journeys, but
yes.
What do you feel about that? I mean, one, his approach and his suggestion on that, do you think it's true?
Yeah.
And if if so, why? And if not so, why not, I guess.
Yeah, I love that point. Thank you for bringing that up. And I do think that has so much validity, especially when you mention the farmers markets and knowing where your food is coming from and having a connection with that. The closer that our food is to the source, to the life force of the universe, so to speak, there's life force in all of us, there's life force in our food. And the more, we always talk about real food, and what that also means is the more alive it is, meaning alive with a good force of energy for us. And the closer we are to the source, meaning going to farmers markets or buying local, then the closer we are to that, and the closer that food is then to us, and the closer it is to what we're naturally made up of, therefore our body's going to know much more of what to do with it. And then to Larry's point of preparing your food, I think, yes, I think having a step in the process, having, you know, when you cook, I think you put love into your food, like that self-love, and I think that's definitely has a lot of metabolic power, and that you, I don't know if any of you experience this, but when you have the time to cook, my mind clears of all things when I'm cooking. I don't think about anything else, and I'm just in the moment. I'm just there with the food, you know, whether I'm preparing it for myself or for my family, and I know that I appreciate the food so much more when I know that I had a hand in making it. I'm aware of what it is, I know what's going in it, and yeah, I mean, I think that has a lot of power to, from start to finish, going to get your food to putting it on the table. I always enjoy those meals so much more, and I feel great after eating them too.
That was my answer to your one question.
Which one?
This is the last, like when you enjoy food the most.
Oh.
It's like that Sunday meal where you cook all day and it roasts a long time, and that's always the most enjoyable meal.
Yes. Yeah. You made it. It was a part of you. You made it for the family and everything else. Yeah. Did you have additional comments on that, Larry? What you think?
No,
yeah.
You know, there's just more farmers markets now, and I think there's more of an attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily think it's quote unquote a fad. I know, like here in Ocean Beach, they had the OP co-op, you know, for years. But you just see more of it, and you see more of the offerings. You know, and even the regular stores, as far as, you know, just organic areas and stuff, and that's probably a whole other topic in and of itself. But just that whole process of being able to buy stuff and increasing your awareness of what you're buying.
Yes.
And then learning how to prepare certain things. And some guesswork to it too. It's not all just like science. You know,
exactly.
There's an art to it.
Yes, exactly. And that's a good point too, and it is a learning curve. So sometimes you're going to make something for yourself and it's not going to be very good, but just encourage, you know, keep encouraging yourself to do it, to try it, because you will figure out the things that you like. Again, the things that work best for you, whether you like spicy or not spicy, what spices make the food feel the best, and it gets you that much more in tune with what works for you. If you're cooking for yourself and you know what blends of flavors taste good, that just puts you in deeper intimacy with your food, and therefore once you know what makes you feel great and what you like, you're gonna get rid of that other stuff pretty easily, because it's not gonna be as nourishing to you anymore. Yeah, Janet, did you have something?
Yeah, when you guys were talking about, like, you know, earlier talking about what Jody said, where it's a Sunday afternoon and you're making food. So my kids most of them are older now, but they remember when they were little. And I used to like make bread. I used to make my own bread for the dinner. And to this day, they're like, how did you do that? Because we want to do it, and it was so cool. And so it's just almost like a childhood memory that's special to them. And, you know, bread is technically bagless, but they would just have, you know, one piece. And I put real butter on it. They have real butter, you know. And it wasn't like a lot of food.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a lot of bread. It was just one, you know. But they remember that, and they liked it, and they enjoyed it, and, you know.
And you made it for them.
I made it for them with, you know, with my own hands. I remember the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
In my 20s, by the way. I was a very young mom.
Yeah.
The other thing with kids is, and the close to food is growing it. Like,
yeah.
a huge garden.
That's
we have this
awesome.
broccoli right now that is so early to pick, and every day my kids are like, can we eat that broccoli? Can we eat that broccoli?
That's
but
so
they'll
cool.
Eat anything out of the garden.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. I have one last piece that I want to share with you, and then I want to offer to all of you, and I'll get with Melanie and Janet on this, on how to, you know, logistically how to do it, but I want to offer to all of you to talk afterwards on the phone about any of this stuff. I know an hour is a short amount of time to pack a lot of stuff in, so I'm going to briefly cover this next piece and then end with just a short exercise that we can help each other out with. But it's all about how to change a habit. So it's really good to know what our good habits are, what our not so great habits are, and what we'd like to do, but how do we do that? How do we change a behavior? And this habit map here, this how to change a habit diagram, this is not mine. There's a wonderful book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, I think his last name is. It's awesome. And what he talks about is that a habit, first of all, it can take 18 to 264 days to change a habit. So if you were prescribing to this idea of, well, it's 21 days, I'm supposed to have changed this habit forever and I can't do it, it must mean there's something wrong with me. No, it just means it could take you 264 days to change a habit. Behavior change is a very tricky business, and what happens is that in our brains, neural pathways are wired to repeat habits, to repeat behaviors based on cues, rewards, and routines that we're going through. And so the reason I'm giving you this diagram is because what he figured out and what he broke habits down to in the book is that there's always a cue that precedes a habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. You know, think of your morning routine and what you do in what order. You know, it's like once I brush my teeth, then I do this, and then I do that. There's always a preceding cue. And that's the same for just behaviors in our lives. So for me, I brought up the boredom. Okay, so the reason why I brought that up before is I really wanted to stop my snacking during this particular hour of the day between like getting home from work and dinner, because I wasn't hungry, I didn't need it, it wasn't really good stuff, it was just kind of empty, mindless consumption. And I really thought that it was stress. I thought I was getting home from work and I was all stressed out and, you know, I just needed to relax. But when I followed this cue reward routine, and I noticed on Saturdays the same kind of stuff was happening. And I'm not really stressed on a Saturday. I didn't have anything else going on. You know, what else could it be? And so I looked at this. I said, okay, the cue. What time is it? Where are you? Who else is around? What did you just do? What emotion are you feeling? When there's a behavior you want to change, the cue, it's always going to be one of these things. It may be a couple of them, and it was for me. So it was always happening around the same time every day. It was between like 4:30 and 6:30 every day. I was at home, no one else was around, and I just got home from work. Emotion I was feeling, again, thought it was stress, but the cue came back to who else was around. It was no one. My husband was working midnights. He slept during the day. I was bored. That's what I discovered was causing me to do these things. I wanted to feel like I was doing something. Oh, so I can make a snack. I can be eating. That's doing something. So the reward I was getting is that idea of I was able to do something. I was, you know, busying myself. And so, so what happened is once I discovered the cue being my boredom, no one else is around, it's that hour before dinner time, my reward was that I was being useful, doing something. So for me, the idea is that to change a habit, you've got to insert a new reward, because the cues are going to stay the same. I'm still going to come home to a sleeping husband. I'm still going to come home and feel bored. But what can I do instead that's going to give me the same reward? And so I tried a couple different things. I, would take the dog for a walk or schedule myself to be somewhere during that time, because I wasn't hungry. It's not like I needed to go get food or needed to make a snack. And so this whole process is a trial and error situation. But if you have a behavior that you're trying to change, asking yourself, what time is it? Where are you? Who else is around? What did you just do? And what emotion are you feeling? And then what craving are you satisfying by engaging in that behavior once you can identify those things? So for me, I was craving like doing something. I was craving being active, interacting with someone else, having something to do rather than just watch TV. And then you test the theory. So the first time I thought it was stress. It wasn't. So that wasn't helping me. But once I drilled down and realized I was bored and I needed to plan something with somebody, that's when I had a new routine. So you're literally having to rewire a neural pathway in your brain to give yourself a new habit loop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is a trial and error process, as I said. It's not going to be something where you just get it and it's all good. It's something that if you're interested in changing, I encourage you to give yourself time, to be patient with it. And on the next page, this will be for you guys to do at home. This is a worksheet that will help you kind of map that out. So selecting a behavior you're trying to change and then breaking it down. The cue, the reward, the routine. So beginning to practice your new routine. Do you guys have 5 extra minutes? If not, if those of you that don't, you can slip out the door. What I'd like to do to end is to do an exercise called Feed Forward to help you with any behavior that you're trying to change so that you can have some ideas for trying this new routine. Turning to the back where it's blank, all I want you to do is select something that you're trying to change, whether it's I want to stop morally judging my food, I want to stop eating in front of the TV, I want to, whatever it is, I want to stop or start something. Write it on this, just on the back on the blank page here. Oh, I double-sided you guys. Okay.
There's a question, there's a part that says it.
Write it at the bottom where you have a little more space, and because there's only a handful of people here, we'll be able to get the writing in somewhere. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down the behavior, and then we're all going to stand up, and I'll put about 5 minutes on the clock. And all we're going to do is we're going to work in partners. So I'd walk up to Jody and I'd say, Jody, I would like to stop eating in front of the TV. She's going to give me 2 suggestions on how I can do that. She might say, all right, why don't you turn on some music instead of TV? Or she might say, why don't you just allow yourself 3 meals a week to eat in front of the TV. The other ones, you're not going to do it. So she's going to give me 2 suggestions on how to behave different in the future. I will say thank you. She will tell me what she's trying to change. I'll give her 2 suggestions, and then you move on. Then you go to the next person. So it's not a dialogue of this is why I do it and why I want to change it, and here's all the story behind it. It's just simply here's what I want to change, 2 suggestions, thank you, 2 suggestions, thank you, move on to the next person. So I want to set 5 minutes on the clock. It encourages that rapid interaction, and then hopefully when we're done you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll have 14 suggestions on how you can implement that new behavior, and hopefully one of them will be a good one. Okay, so let's everybody take a second, grab the behavior, write that down, and then we'll kind of move some of these chairs to the side so we'll have room to walk around, and then we'll get some advice from one another. All right, go ahead and begin when you're ready. 5 minutes is on. I'll play.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to stop eating at night.
Eating at night. One suggestion would be, and this has helped me, is to make sure you're eating enough at dinner. Make sure you're eating enough satisfying food so that you're full at dinner. The second suggestion would be to have maybe a cup of chamomile tea and brush your teeth. Once you're like done eating, brush your teeth. Yeah, those are my suggestions.
Good. It's really good.
Yes. I actually am kind of working on the same thing, so what suggestions do you have for me?
I mean, well,
I would say, what comes to mind is tea. Even if it's like a routine, like meet a friend for tea, or maybe go with your husband. Like even if it's just down to Starbucks, like an activity.
Yeah.
Or try and build a routine, like or a schedule, and allow like, okay, 2 nights I get something at night.
Right. Okay, put a limit on it. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Cool.
Real quick, ladies, make sure you're writing down your suggestions. Make sure you're writing them down so you don't forget.
Well, sometimes I have literally 2 minutes to so because so
That was great.
Huh? Oh, thank you.
I have lots of intuition, so I'm like, oh, it's like validated.
Yes, exactly. That's awesome. Well, I'll play. What are you trying to do?
I want to make healthier choices when I have to buy my lunch.
Okay.
I'm tempted by all the
Yes.
distractors.
What I would do for that is before you go somewhere, when you can, even if it's just in the car, looking up what's on the menu if you don't already know, and decide what you're going to get. Decide what you're going to get before you go in. Healthier choices when you know. Looking at the menu, and then
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one.
To decide.
And then, okay, so I would look at the menu before you go and maybe have, one of every 5 lunches, you just get what you want to get. So that it's like, all right, well, I did that last time, so these other times. And then you'll probably find yourself.
It's like my kids' soda.
Yeah.
You can only have it like every 4th time in a restaurant, and they kind of know.
Yes.
Like, we didn't have it last time.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Okay, that's good.
I would like to stop snacking at night after dinner.
Brush your teeth. That's what I do.
No. You get as quick as possible and then switch. Yeah.
Brush your teeth right after dinner. Floss and all that stuff. You know what I do again.
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
I don't know. That's my trick. That one.
Okay, I like that. Thank you very much. Got about 2 minutes left. See if you can hit everybody.
So maybe
You guys told us to have a glass of water. Do you drink water before you? Maybe have that.
It's okay. You can have.
Can you change the time when you do your meal prep to a time when you're not? Maybe right after you have a meal.
Maybe I prioritize it.
Right.
And then I'm gonna get in bed by 10. So if we kind of those things in perspective, like what are we really needing right now, and feel urgent, like no, I'm at bedtime.
And then mine is to not eat so fast.
A good book, really good thing and like read before bed.
She's done.
Or like your book or an audio
Down and ask the team about what I'm doing. And then go back.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
What is yours?
I would like to stop snacking at night.
Stop snacking at night?
Yeah, after dinner.
What are the time frames? I'm just checking here.
Like 7:30 and 9.
7:30 and 9. So it's funny. I was just talking to her about that.
Yeah, we have the same one.
Yep. Yeah. So the thing I asked her is, give yourself permission to have 2 things you can have, and ask yourself, are you really hungry? Because if you are really hungry, I wouldn't go to bed hungry.
Yep.
And I'd say, okay, you know what? If I'm really hungry, I'm allowing myself to have these couple things. But then also ask yourself, maybe I just need something warm, and you can have some hot tea. But I think the whole you can't have anything after a certain time if you're really hungry.
Yes.
Makes me not happy.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
So,
great. Thank you. And what is yours?
Getting to bed.
Getting to bed.
Wanting to have 7 to 8 hours, and there's just seems to be those last minute things that I do, and just not getting there, and it's like an hour later than I want to. Sometimes 2 hours later than I want to.
Right. I would set a bedtime, even if it's only 15 minutes earlier than the night before.
Right.
So start with small increments. Maybe it's 15 minutes earlier, but set that bedtime and disconnect from technology an hour before bed. I know that I've already that too, but I'm trying to make sure something works for you. But only sleep when you're in bed. Like, don't do other stuff in bed in terms of getting good night's sleep. And do something that relaxes you to get you into bed mode. So whatever time you're trying to go to bed, maybe 30 minutes before, shower, and plan it. Have that routine of like, all right, here's when I got to cut it off, and knowing that a good night's sleep is going to help you get that much more done tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes. Thank you.
No, that's yeah. So shake. That's how doing work. Just energized.
I mean, with that, like I feeling like that, so commit to myself to keep that.
As soon as you wrap up this conversation, we're all going to come back together and take a seat.
It'll take a long time.
That's awesome. I wish I had that.
Right.
And so you're something about limit that, like the options.
Right. And then the other, I stopped looking at food like that's a bad thing, that's a good thing, it's a bad thing. I started breaking down the nutrients. And I said, what is this ciabatta sandwich? What is the nutrients?
Sweets.
When you start breaking it down, some of them are all the same, and then there's something that will come up and be like, oh, that's exactly what it is.
I try to steer people
So it's like you piece it apart.
restaurants like Nina, and
Yeah.
I'll be like,
That's what every
how about
single
here?
person suggests there.
Yeah, like, oh my God, let's go chew
Right.
fruit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tender
green
green somewhere. Yeah, it's just like little bit of something anywhere. Take all of the stuff apart and say, okay, that's got this much. Like I will say, okay, this got like the meat that it's so clean. It's got this. Like it's not really a ciabatta sandwich. It's not a strawberry salad. It's not this. It's these are nutrients all mixed together.
Right.
And then what's the best choice that I can make for me? So that salad would be really good. I just don't want that dressing. I don't want those candy.
I go off menu.
pecans.
I go off menu all the time.
So I just.
All right, ladies, let's go ahead and grab a seat. We can definitely continue these conversations moving forward.
Thank you, Natalie. This is awesome.
Good.
Very good.
Did everybody get at least one suggestion that will help?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Ones that you don't even necessarily like, yeah, you're right. You know, like,
Yes.
and I know them, you're like, yeah, no, you're right.
Yes.
You should. There's my non-excuse. There's
Yes.
the answer.
Yes. And what was the best thing about this exercise?
Talking about it.
Talking about it? Yeah.
Saying,
Exposing it.
Exposing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, owning up to what you do and knowing that you want to change it. But if you just keep it inside yourself, you can talk yourself out of changing it.
Yes. And you can give other people the same advice that you should be giving yourself, too. And the thing I love most about this exercise, too, is that there's no judgment back and forth. I mean, we just are like, oh, this is what I want to change. Oh, here's some advice. Great, thanks. You know, it's not this whole explanation of why you behaved this way in the past. Like, there's reasons, but there's the person who created this exercise, his name is Marshall Goldsmith, and he is a world-renowned executive coach, one of the top leadership coaches CEOs all over the world. And this is an exercise he always implements. And one of the things he says is that it's a lot easier to go forward and figure out how to not be messed up in the future than to try to figure out what messed us up in the first place and looking back and judging our behavior. So feedback is great to know where we're at, but rather than judging behaviors in the past, let's talk about how we can get better in the future. And so I love that we're looking forward and what is a behavior I can try out now rather than just staying looped into the past. Marshall Goldsmith, same one that does the peer coaching.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah. So that wraps things up. I wanted to end on that exercise for me today. Any last comments, questions, slander, concerns, anything? I had a lot of fun with you ladies today. Thank you.
Sorry that half of our group isn't here. That's
I
like
know.
me thinking, like, I literally counted and we are literally at
There
half.
are
Yeah.
a few legitimate, like, Wendy's not here because her son is doing the surfing competition or something.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's, but
Yeah, some
I'm
stuff like
disappointed for them that they
Yeah,
missed
I
this.
know.
Yeah.
I'll have the video, but
Yeah, I'll
it's
have the
just
video.
Yeah, I mean, the video's having a little trouble downloading
Yeah.
from Wendy's talk and whatnot. It's a large file.
Mhm.
We're still trying to figure that out. It is coming. I'm going to send out the feedback or the follow-up email from Wendy today without the video because I think we just need to get it out.
Yeah.
But so we'll send her a video out as soon as possible.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you, Natalie. This has been
You're welcome. Thank you. You ladies are great. Good luck these next few weeks. And like I said, I'll be reaching out to you through Janet and Melanie just if you guys need anything and if you want to talk more.
Your email address.
It's all on here.
Yeah, it's all on here.
I do. I brought some cards with me too, and all of my info is on the bottom of the worksheets.
And
Yeah.
in following up with this, next week is Julie, and she's going to be talking about how to season your food with really good how the difference between, like low grade seasoning and really high end.
Nice.
And all about cooking and like cooking with love. So
Nice.
Are you going to come?
Not sure. Not sure. Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, it'll
Thank
be
you,
perfect.
Natalie.
Very nice. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful day.
Great.